Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. I hope you are doing very, very well today on this lovely Friday. It's finally cold and chilly and reading weather abounds, and I hope you guys are all enjoying it. Sorry it's been a while since I uploaded. I had a little bit of a trip and fall accident last weekend, which kind of took me out of my normal routine. I had a giant purple toe. It was lovely. It was a nice shade of purple. And some road rash to deal with, so I kind of just kept to myself. I owe a bunch of people some comment responses, and I have been kind of quiet. But I am back, and I am really excited about this video. So if you didn't know, which I know you all probably do, the National Book Awards were awarded this week. And Jesmyn Ward won the National Book Award for Sing Unburied Sing, which, if you don't know already, I adored this novel, and I actually adore Jesmyn Ward. And I was so excited that she won that I decided to go back a little bit and maybe pick a few National Book Award winners that I've read that maybe you guys haven't read yet or maybe missed your radar. And I'll tell you the year they won. Now, I will apologize. Some of them I read the year that they won the award, and it was a few years ago. So I'm going to do my best to do my summaries. I've done some refreshing, some flipping through. But just in case I mess anything up, I apologize in advance, because some of them, especially I know one of them I read when it actually won the award, which was quite a long time ago. So there you go. The first book I'm going to tell you about is Parrish Trout by Pete Dexter. Now, I don't remember where I heard about this book, but maybe Literary Disco, the podcast. But this won the National Book Award in 1988. And this is one of those quintessential books where your main character or your lead is very much an anti-hero. This is the story of Parrish Trout. This takes place in, let me see, Cotton Point, Georgia. And I don't remember the time period. I want to say I think it's like the 40s or 50s. And it's about a man named Parrish who runs like a little tiny convenience store in town. He's a white man. And he's where you go when you need money lent to you, if you want to buy a car on credit. Or he's kind of sort of the loan shark of the town. And if you go astray of him, he will definitely take care of you. He is not a lovely man. And you even in this novel learn that his home life is just as awful as he is to the people of the town he lives in. Now, this story really rotates around the fact that there is a young boy, a young black boy, who buys a car from him. And something happens to it and he attempts to return it. In that ordeal, his 14-year-old sister is shot and killed. I'm not giving anything away. That's kind of the whole apex of the story. And Parrish Trout is put on trial for the murder of this little girl. He, as a white male, has an expectation of how this trial is going to go and is surprised by the response of the community due to his reputation. I think that that is enough to say. This is kind of like a psychological little town. It's not a thriller, but it has a sense of suspense to it that I wasn't expecting when I read it. It is beautifully, beautifully written. The prose are amazing. And it's really a take on race that I hadn't read before. And Parrish Dexter, Parrish Trout is one of those characters that you will hate from the first page, but you definitely want to know what's going to happen to him. So that's Parrish Trout by Pete Dexter. Highly recommend it. The next book won in 1998. This is the one I read the year it came out. So 1998 was 3 years after I graduated high school. So let's just say I was 21 or so, and that's Charming Billy by Alice McDermott. Now, Alice McDermott has had a lot of books come out since Charming Billy and is fairly well known. But I feel like even though this won the National Book Award, there's maybe a bunch of people that haven't read it because it won so long ago. So this is the story of Billy Lynch's family. At the start of the novel, they've gathered in a small New York bar, I want to say it's in the Bronx, to commemorate him. He has passed. And everyone is sort of telling stories about sort of the tragedy that is Billy Lynch's life. And as the community tells stories and the reason and why and how Billy died comes to fruition, you kind of get the tales of the town, the people, and it becomes sort of a book about a community in mourning. And if you haven't read Alice McDermott, you will know that she has a writing style that is lyrical and beautiful. The plot is not the point of this book. This is about a community and the people in the community, and it is beautiful. So if you haven't read Charming Billy by Alice McDermott, I highly recommend it. The next book I'm going to tell you about is Waiting by Ha Jin, and this one in 1999, and also was the year that I read it. Because someone told me, I was just out of college or just finishing something. 1999 is when I graduated college, so probably on the cusp, about how beautifully Ha Jin wrote. And this was his second novel, and it won the PEN/Faulkner and the National Book Award. This is a story set in China. I can't remember the name of the main character. Lin Kong is a doctor in the Chinese army. He is married to a woman in a small town that he returns to once a year, but she is completely loyal to him, but the marriage is rather loveless. And he also has a woman in the city, a nurse, I think she's a nurse. Yes, that he loves, but he can't marry her and continue his relationship until he ends his relationship with his ever faithful, very sweet wife at home, where there's really no reason for him not to be married to her. So I think the back of this says, caught between the conflicts claims of these two utterly different women and trapped by a culture in which adultery can ruin lives and careers, Lin has been waiting for 18 years. This year, he promises, will be different. And I believe that you have to be married 18 years in order to get a divorce, I believe is the premise. So he's been waiting so that he can leave his wife to marry this other woman. And Ha Jin is an amazing writer. If you haven't read him, I highly recommend probably picking up any of his books. And all of them are very different. But I remember when I read Waiting, being blown away by his prose. And he came here in the 80s, I want to say. Let me see if I can tell you. From China to get a degree. Let me see. In 85, he got his degree at Brandeis University. And I think he still lives here. Last time, I mean, it's been a while, but he was a teacher at Emory University in Georgia. So that's Waiting by Ha Jin. And if you haven't, you really should pick it up. Now, the next book is going to be covered on my iPad because someone has my copy. And this is probably, actually the last two are probably the most famous, but if you haven't read both of these books, I really highly recommend that you do that. And the first one is Colum McCann's, Colum McCann's Let the Great World Spin. This one in 2009. Now this is for those of you out there who like a interconnected short story type of novel, because this is a group of stories set in New York on the day that, and because I don't have my copy, I apologize, I don't have names, but there was that very historic day where a gentleman decided to walk a tightrope between the Twin Towers in New York City. You guys know what I'm talking about? And this story happens on that day. As that's going on, you get his point of view, sort of a one-off story about what's going on up there. There's a story of a sort of a street preacher and the people that he's involved with there, and how all of these people are interconnected. And the stories stand alone, but also the characters flow between. Very Olive Kitteridge, very Anthony Mara's book, Czar and the Love of Techno. I can't remember the name of the title of it exactly right now, sorry. But those short stories where you'll be like, oh, that person's come back, or that's why this person's made this decision in this story because I've read this story. So, and Colum McCann is an amazing writer, and I love this book, and it's not even my favorite book by him, but I definitely say if you have not read this book, you really, really should, and that is Let the Great World Spin. Oh, for some reason Siri wants to talk to me, so hold on. That is Let the Great World Spin by Colum McCann, and if you have my copy, please return it. I know none of you have my copy, but I appreciate it if you do have it. The last one is kind of just an homage to the fact that Jesmyn Ward won the National Book Award in 2011 for Salvage the Bones, which was her second novel. And when I saw her speak about Sing Unburied Sing, she did not expect herself to win. She was actually up against Jennifer Egan, who she really thought was going to win the award, I believe. And I think I read an article, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Jesmyn Ward becomes the first woman and the first person of color to win the National Book Award twice. And she, to me, is the heir apparent to Toni Morrison. Now, Salvage the Bones won in 2011. It is the story of a little girl. Let me see if I can get her name. Esh, who is 15 years old and just found out she's pregnant, and Katrina is on its way. I've talked about this book before. This book is about Mississippi. It's about how Katrina affected Mississippi. It's about the poor people of Mississippi and how this tragedy affected them and washed away a lot of their lives. It's about family. It's about what being a parent means. There are some graphic parts in this novel regarding dog fighting, so I know I've talked about it before because I've had some conversations in the comments, but I definitely highly recommend you read this book, but just caution you about that. She is a phenomenal, phenomenal writer, and that's Salvage the Bones by Jesmyn Ward. I was looking for a copy. I don't own a copy of all of the books that I read, and I wanted to tell you about more of them, but I think it's always interesting to go back and see the books that have won an award and talk about them and see which ones you've read. So if you like this, let me know. Maybe I can do one on the Pulitzer or the Man Booker or something like that too. But these are all novels that have won the National Book Award that I'm hoping that you maybe have read and forgot about and want to reread, haven't heard of and want to add to your TBR right now and get them all, because you can get them all at the library, you can get them at your used bookstore, you could buy them new. And I hope they inspire you guys to check out award lists, because there's a lot of amazing books on there. So as always, if you are a return subscriber, thank you so very, very much. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope you like this video. And until next time, happy reading, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!